entered the...
In the early 1960s, the Ford Motor Company was grappling with a crisis of identity and relevance. Once a pioneer of the automotive industry, Ford had become synonymous with practical but uninspired vehicles that appealed to an older, more conservative audience. The rising baby boomer generation, young, affluent, and eager for excitement, sought fast, stylish cars, and Ford's offerings seemed outdated and dull. The company's market share was declining, and its main rival, Chrysler, had surged ahead. At the helm of Ford was Henry Ford Sick, the grandson of the legendary founder, who felt the weight of his family's name and the responsibility to uphold its legacy. Amid this turmoil, Lee, a forward-thinking vice president at Ford, presented a bold plan to revitalize the company's image and sales. He proposed that Ford should venture into the world of competitive racing, a realm dominated by the iconic Italian manufacturer Ferrari. Ferrari's reputation for speed and precision engineering was unmatched, and its dominance at the prestigious 24 Hours of Le Mans endurance race had cemented its place at the pinnacle of motorsport. Iacocca suggested Ford acquire the financially struggling Ferrari to merge its engineering prowess with Ford's manufacturing capabilities, allowing the American giant to compete on the world stage. At the time, Ferrari was indeed in financial trouble. Enzo Ferrari, the company's founder and a man of unrelenting passion for racing, had poured nearly all of the company's resources into maintaining the success of Scuderia Ferrari, the racing team that bore his name. Despite his car's success on the racetrack, the company was struggling to sustain itself, and an acquisition seemed inevitable. Ford approached Ferrari with an offer that seemed generous on paper. The deal promised to preserve Ferrari's racing autonomy while giving Ford control over production and significant profits. However, when the negotiations neared their conclusion, Enzo Ferrari abruptly rejected Ford's offer. In an infamous turn of events, Ferrari used the proposal to secure a more favorable deal with Fiat, which purchased a controlling stake in Ferrari for $18 million. This deal allowed Enzo to retain full control of his beloved racing team, while Fiat took over the production side of the business. The rejection alone was humiliating for Ford, but it was Enzo Ferrari's scathing remarks that truly ignited a fire within Henry Ford II. Enzo belittled Ford's vehicles, dismissing them as uninspired and inferior. He mocked Henry Ford II personally, questioning his leadership and accusing him of lacking the vision and ingenuity of his grandfather. Enraged by this insult, Henry Ford II vowed to take revenge. He declared that Ford would build a car capable of not only competing at Le Mans, but defeating Ferrari outright. To achieve this seemingly impossible goal, Ford turned to Carroll Shelby, a former racing driver with a colorful personality and an impressive track record. Shelby had won Le Mans in 1959, but was forced to retire due to a heart condition. After leaving the driver's seat, Shelby had built a reputation as an innovative car designer and a man who understood what it took to win on the racetrack. Recognizing that he couldn't accomplish this monumental task alone, Shelby sought the expertise of Ken Miles, a British mechanic and driver with an unyielding passion for cars. Miles was as brilliant as he was difficult. Known for his sharp wit and fiery temper, he had a reputation for being blunt to a fault, often alienating those around him. Despite his prickly personality, his talent was undeniable. Miles had an uncanny ability to fine-tune cars and push them to their absolute limits, both as a builder and a driver. The duo faced an enormous challenge. To beat Ferrari at Le Mans, they needed to design a car that could achieve and sustain speeds of over 200 miles per hour for 24 hours on one of the most grueling courses in motorsport. The Le Mans circuit was notorious for its punishing demands on both driver and machine. The Mulsanne Straight, a stretch of road over 3 miles long, tested a car's top speed and durability, while the sharp turns and narrow country roads required precision and control. Shelby and Miles began their work by developing the Ford GT40 Cock 1, an ambitious prototype that combined advanced aerodynamics with raw power. They conducted their tests at unconventional locations, including the Los Angeles International Airport, where they could push the car to its limits in relative secrecy. The process was grueling, with numerous setbacks and adjustments. The car showed promise but was far from perfect, suffering from mechanical issues that had to be meticulously addressed. During this period, tensions arose between Shelby's team and Ford's corporate executives, particularly Leo Beebe, a senior vice president who prioritized public relations over performance. Beebe was skeptical of Miles, viewing his abrasive personality as a liability that could tarnish Ford's brand. These tensions came to a head during the launch of the new Ford Mustang, when Miles openly criticized the car's design in front of Beebe and other executives. Beebe used this incident to convince Henry Ford Sue to exclude Miles from the 1964 Le Mans team. Shelby reluctantly complied with the decision and sent other drivers, including Phil Hill and Bruce McLaren, to represent Ford at Le Mans. The results were disastrous. As Miles had predicted, none of the GT40s finished the race. Ferrari claimed yet another victory, leaving Ford humiliated on the global stage. Despite the setback, Shelby remained undeterred. He argued that the GT40's performance, though flawed, had struck fear into Ferrari. The car had reached a record-breaking speed of 218 miles per hour on the Mulsanne Straight, demonstrating its potential. Shelby convinced Henry Ford Sue to give him another chance, this time with more control over the project. Shelby and Miles shifted their focus to the GT40 Mach 2, a refined version of the original car. The development process was marked by both triumphs and near tragedies. During one test run, Miles narrowly escaped death when the car's brakes failed, a harrowing incident that underscored the dangers of their work. This experience led the team to discover a crucial loophole in the race rules. They could replace the entire brake assembly during pit stops, a strategy that would later prove vital. In 1966, Beebe once again tried to sideline Miles by taking control of Ford's racing division. However, Shelby wasn't willing to back down. In a bold move, he locked Beebe in an office and took Henry Ford II for a high-speed test drive in the GT40. The thrilling experience convinced Ford to let Miles race, but only if he could prove himself by winning the 24 Hours of Daytona. At Daytona, Shelby's team faced fierce competition from another Ford entry supported by NASCAR's Holman Moody team. Despite their opponent's faster pit stops and superior resources, Miles pushed his car to the limit, driving at an unprecedented 7,000 RPM. His daring performance secured a hard-fought victory, earning him a spot on the Le Mans team. The 1966 24 Hours of Le Mans marked a turning point. Miles encountered challenges right from the start, including a faulty door that threatened to derail his race. Thanks to a quick repair by team engineer Phil Remington, he was able to continue. Over the next 24 hours, Miles demonstrated extraordinary skill and endurance, setting record-breaking lap times and battling Ferrari's Lorenzo Bandini in a fierce duel. A critical moment came when Miles's team replaced his car's brake assembly during a pit stop, a move Ferrari protested vehemently. Shelby successfully argued that the replacement was within the rules, allowing Miles to stay in the race. As the hours wore on, Ferrari's dominance began to crumble. Bandini's engine failed on the Mulsanne Straight, effectively eliminating Ferrari from contention. With Ford's cars occupying the top three positions, Beebe ordered Shelby to orchestrate a photo finish, instructing Miles to slow down so the other two Ford cars could catch up. Though initially resistant, Miles eventually complied, crossing the finish line alongside his teammates. However, due to a technicality, Bruce McLaren was declared the winner, as his car had traveled further after starting behind Miles. The decision robbed Miles of his rightful victory, leaving him visibly disappointed. Yet he remained gracious, expressing gratitude to Shelby for giving him the opportunity to compete at Le Mans. From his vantage point, Enzo Ferrari acknowledged Miles's exceptional performance with a rare gesture of respect. Tragically, Ken Miles's story ended just 2 months later. While testing the experimental J car at Riverside International Raceway, he suffered another brake failure and died in the resulting crash. His death cast a shadow over Ford's triumph, but his contributions to the GT40 program were undeniable. Ford went on to dominate Le Mans for the next 3 years, cementing its place in racing history. Ken Miles was posthumously inducted into the Motorsports Hall of Fame of America in 2001, ensuring his legacy as one of motorsport's greatest unsung heroes.